Good afternoon. Hey, this is Neil. It is 18th November, Friday. I don't know how I keep drawing the short straw in these Friday videos because it's not really my normal time slot. And then I'm just going to do the same thing again, on Monday after we have, just a little bit of trade price action, I guess, if you will, between now and the next video. But look, here it is. Today, options expiration Friday. By the way, options expiration 2.1 trillion in option notional value to expire today. 865 billion in the AM and 1.2 trillion in the PM. Spread over single stocks, SPY, and SPX. And, and it's all about, 39.60, really. I mean, that's just where everything's kind of pinned here. And if you remember, that was balanced last week, 39.60, for all week last week. And then when I do balance for this week, just this week, which is not what you're looking at right here. I'll do it in a minute if you want, but it's for this week, it's like 74 or 5 or something up here. So here's what I did. I blended Friday, the far left over here is Friday of last week, through end of business today, because Thursday last week was a run-up into just basically sideways trade from Friday of last week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday of this week, all just sideways. And so the blend here is about 71 or something right here. You see it. So there's nothing to see here. Furthermore, we have a holiday week next week, and one has to ask themselves, how many folks do you imagine are going to take Monday and maybe Tuesday off of next week because they were, probably scheduled to be off, the latter part of the week for Thanksgiving anyway. So you can get a whole week off at the expense of essentially taking a day or two off at the front end of the week or whatever. In other words, like next week is going to be low volume, in my opinion, slow, I would imagine. That's my guess. I'll show you the SPX options chain. It kind of agrees. I mean, look, you're looking at the 25th here, 7 days out. We've got 16.8% applied volatility on 70. What is that? Call that 75 points, plus or minus 75 for next week. I mean, there's, again, there's another way to say that is like, there's really nothing to see here. So let me switch screens. Well, I did promise that I could show you this week's also, I guess. Here's just this week, Monday through Friday, excluding last week Friday, right? But this week is, I misstated that. I guess it's like 70. So, you take the two, you blend it, and it's like 70, whatever we just said, 71 or something right there, balance, right? Essentially, what we've seen is a big run-up Thursday that started from 37.65 was the CPI newsprint. It rallied up into Friday, went sideways. Friday has since then has been a little higher, 40.50, and a little lower, 39.12. I will say that the market did what it needed to do in holding without. If you go back and look at Thursday morning's trade, this thing really did not need to get below about 37.05, and 12 was the good spot to catch and not let it get through 05. Below 05 would have been bad, because then it slips down a string of single prints that takes it pretty aggressively lower, like 100 lower. 39.05 is like, do not get below that, or it gets ugly. Well, it didn't, right? So in other words, tested a little higher, tested a little lower. But you got to admit, I mean, it did do what it needed to do in holding here and get it right back in the middle, which is where we are right now. We're sitting, look, it is right now 2:58 p.m. Central, 2 minutes in front of the bell, and we're trading 70, right on balance, right on the week, right on, So what does all this mean? Well, I think it tested higher first, then tested lower. It's come back into the middle. I got a feeling it's not going to be much of a week next week, but I would honestly look for it to continue to work its way a little higher because it held where it needed to hold. And I'm going to give it the benefit of the doubt in that it's still looking for something up here that it hasn't found yet. My guess is that's the 200 period moving average, which I think is coming in as we speak since the trade's been sideways. It sucked it down from what was about 40.90 down to like 40.83, I think, 4083 on the top up there. It'll probably head up that way next week. That'd be my thinking. And that'd be the target. There's the bell. But I wouldn't look for it to get through there. That'll be the idea that it's held where it needs to hold, and it's probably still working its way a little bit higher on some, holiday kind of cheer. I mean, the holiday trade historically is a little bit lower left to upper right on a helium balloon kind of a float, not an aggressive, big one-way street, but it's kind of a float. Sort of a, float kind of higher. Now, let's say we're wrong. That's my read, though. It's going higher. But look, let's say we're wrong. Look, it does not need to come down here and retest these 12s again. I don't see that being good. Whether it does that or not, there is the open range breach a little bit higher and came back and held support on Thursday morning. The real number, the hardcore, it cannot get below is 39.05. If it does, it's got a really slippery slope down in probably darn near 100 lower. So, you know how to guard against the bottom end down here. That would not be good. There won't be much to catch it on the way down for a while. So the read is early part of next week. Honestly, I bet you. Look, it came back today and tested prior sessions point of control here. The low of the day, about 45. That's the low. So the value area low in the week's 48. This thing will come in a little. It'll catch support, and it's going to trade higher. And we're going to see how much higher next week. But my guess is I'm going to be, early part of next week doing the same video, saying the same thing, and looking, at talking about the same numbers that'll be up there in the 40-80 area. So that's what we got. Good weekend. Get some rest. We'll come back and give it a look early next week, see how things are shaping up. But that's the read for now. Good night.
Without simpler trading, I could not have financial independence.
This is one of the best investments I ever made in my life.
It's helping me find consistency. It's one of the things that won me